A Venezuelan patrol boat close to 800 yards of a U.S. destroyer. Fire control radar locked, CIWS tracking, and no one said a word on the radio. This wasn't a drill. It was a misread target that turned out to be a full carrier strike group centered on the Eisenhower. In the next minute, 2 flares drew the line under rules of engagement, and a single audio cue, a charging handle being pulled, became the last signal before potential live fire. Watch how the threshold of engagement was reached, and why it didn't cross. Before we move on, please take a moment to subscribe to the channel and like the video. So how does one stale coordinate push a routine intercept toward a clash with a whole carrier group? It starts at Puerto Cabello before dawn. The Venezuelan squadron slips the moorings under radio silence. Crews briefed off a printout from a shore radar console that shows a single American hull drifting near a line Caracas claims as its own. The plot looks clean. The timing fits a rotating watch. Fuel topped, belts loaded, and the order is simple. Shadow, warn, and, if needed, box out the intruder. No broad transmissions, no AIF, just short encrypted bursts boat to boat so nothing leaks to foreign ears. They run a double pincer, the kind that squeezes a larger ship into a predictable turn. 2 boats swing high and wide to the east. 2 hug the coast to the west, and a lead hull cuts the center line straight toward the destroyer. Gunners strap in behind 12.7. One crew uncovers an old twin-tube launcher with stamped Cyrillic still on the brackets. The speed reads in the 40s on the helm repeater. Meanwhile, the American reality is not a single hull at all. A layered screen sits on station. Eisenhower steady in the center, Gravely and Mason forward, pickets and air overhead, the whole formation breathing in slow, practiced loops. The error began at the source. Shore radar is watching a crowded patch of water at low angles, where waves bounce returns and rain bands smear echoes. Older systems update slow. A contact's course and speed get calculated, then displayed seconds later as if present. Add small craft that cross the beam and you can mask the bigger metal beyond. To an operator on land, the brighter smear rides alone. At sea, that smear is only the edge of something much larger. On the American side, detection is layered by design. An E-2D Hawkeye circles on the rim, watching hundreds of miles. SPY arrays on the destroyers sweep volume, track low, high, and fast, and cross-check with cooperative returns. MH-60R Seahawks dip sonar where subs might threaten, but their MX-20 sensors scan for heat and movement on the surface as well. R sees engine blocks and hot barrels in haze where radar struggles. Each sensor feeds a fusion picture so the humans see trend and behavior, not single dots. Think of the misread like chasing a shadow across a wall while the person throwing it stands behind you. The movement looks real. The outline is convincing. You commit to the swipe, but your target is a projection, not the source. By the time you realize you're swinging at a shape, you've already stepped into reach of the real thing. Silence from the Venezuelan boats fits their playbook. OPSEC keeps intent opaque to the other side. It signals resolve to local audiences who expect firmness near contested lines. It also gives leaders a clean narrative if they later claim an escort, not an attack. But silence cuts both ways under Colregs and ROE. Without bridge-to-bridge calls, your actions speak for you. Speed, bearing, formation, and weapons posture become your message. Misread any of those, and someone on the other end might log hostile intent. As the pincer closes, unidentified contacts multiply on American scopes. Watches that started as routine move to a ready state. Crews shift stations. Clearance chains unlock. The destroyer that Venezuelan plots chase is, in reality, the forward edge of the carrier's umbrella. That turns a probe into the mouth of layered firepower. Guns warmed, missiles queued, helos overhead. And now the gap narrows fast. One hull surges, throttles open, dragging the whole scenario to the line where rules meet seconds. What happens when Hull 23 breaks 800 yards and the ROE threshold finally shows itself? What tells a warship it may have to fire right now? On Mason's Bridge, the answer comes in a sequence, not a sentence. Hull 23 hits 45 knots, ignores hails that never come, and eats the range down to 1,000 yards, then 800. Radio silence holds. Under U.S. rules, the order to shoot requires either a hostile act or a clean read of hostile intent. That line lives in behavior, not language. The clock starts. Mason sits on point, the forward shield for the group. Helm holds steady. Combat shows multiple fast movers on split bearings. The captain calls the escalation ladder. Fire control radar comes up. CIWS safeties click to arm. Mounts lay on. 2 red streaks kick from the forecastle. Warning flares. They float, bright and unmistakable. The last visible stop before force. The Venezuelan boat keeps its bow on. Closure rate tightens. Every console beeps like a metronome counting down a single minute that might decide the next month. Up high, the Seahawk watches. Its sensor ball paints heat signatures, tracks wakes, marks that hull's gun crew. Then a small sound cuts through the intercom feed. A metallic clack, sharp and hollow. A charging handle worked. The kind of detail that means hands are on steel and a weapon just moved from safe posture toward ready. Fire control solutions settle on the screens. Range, bearing, lead angles. It all resolves into simple numbers. CIWS barrels hunt smoothly. Nose to the vector, servos humming. Seconds stretch until they feel like a room you can't cross fast enough. Rules matter here. Hostile intent is a set of indicators. Weapons manned, rapid approach inside a defensive bubble, a pincer that pins maneuver, and sensors that step from search to fire control range. None of that equals a shot by itself in international waters, but stack enough, and the right to act is there. The bar is high on purpose. A wrong burst at sea can ripple into an interstate fight that no one planned and no one can control once it starts. Without radio calls, Mason's team reads the only language left. Speed is a verb. Bearing is a statement. Weapon posture is tone. A fast close could be a shove or a test or the first frame of an attack. A loading sound could be a misfeed cleared or a signal to bluff or a prelude to a volley. The crew has to decide which story those motions tell while the scene still plays out. Flares come first because they say stop without drawing blood. They fit proportional response. They also create a record. If shots later ring out, those burning lines show a clear attempt to warn, which matters in the investigation that follows any use of force. It is deterrence in bright color and an evidence marker in the same breath. Hull 23 shifts. A slight angle into engagement geometry. A targeting radar tick appears on the scope, the kind you only light when you plan to aim, not browse. CIWS keeps the bead. The trigger guard on self-defense stays open. On one side of the bridge, a phone talker relays distances in a calm voice that fights the clock. On the other, the commander runs the chain, hold. Then the bow drifts, a yaw to port. Not much, but enough to break the firing line. One boat peels, another follows. Speeds drop from sprint to cruise. Mason tracks the turn, keeps weapons trained, but the spiral unwinds. Readiness did the talking. Restraint did the work. There's a cost to that hold. It puts the burden on judgment, training, and the guts to live with either outcome. That's where deterrence meets miscalculation, and where the next choice will be measured against the second you didn't take the shot. At sea, the narrowest victories come from choices withheld. The carrier group had overwhelming reach, yet the decision that mattered was restraint. OE framed the moment, but discipline carried it. Silent decks, armed mounts, and a crew that let readiness speak instead of rounds. So, your turn at the con. What call do you make? Fire on hostile intent, or hold for one more second of clarity? Let me know in the comments. Next time, we break down the post-incident information war. Who convinced the world, and why that matters more than a missile fired. The battle after the standoff didn't use steel. It used narrative and timing.